Wouldn't it be awesome if there was a strategy that would help a student improve their behavior and at the same time teach them responsibility? It's a strategy that is often overlooked by teachers and you could be missing out on it. I want to share this strategy that can bring out the best qualities out of your most challenging students, and you might be surprised to hear what it is. Welcome to the Teacher Revolution, where I give you tips and tricks to continue to grow as an educator. I'm Cindy, I'm a counselor and a teacher coach. And before I share a simple strategy to boost student character and behavior, make sure to check out the description below for my link to my mini course, Online Teaching Bootcamp, where I cover how to lesson plan, how to boost student engagement, how to check for understanding effectively, and how to differentiate. My first year at my current site, I was warned repeatedly about a group of 8th grade boys. I would get stopped in the hallways by teachers so they could fill me in on what was going on. There was a group of 5 boys who were often causing trouble in class, mouthing off to their teachers, harassing their peers, had awful attendance, and really poor grades. They were all suspended at one point. I don't remember for what, but I remember sitting with the principal and the VP to discuss what options we had, and I proposed to put them in ASB, our leadership, with me. AJ, who was the leader of the group, had a rough history. His family were major players in the gang in the neighborhood. He lived with only his elderly grandmother, and his mom would rarely visit him. The most tragic part of the story was that AJ was the one that discovered his older brother's body after he had taken his own life. So it made sense why AJ was so difficult. But there was something about him. There was a slight. He was extremely charismatic, and he was good-natured when he wasn't around his friends. So I changed his schedule along with 2 other boys from his group and put him in my ASB class. I wasn't prepared of how amazing he did. There were 3 things that stood out. The first one was that he did an amazing job doing our video announcements. He had so much charisma, it just came natural. Number 2 is when I had him host our rally to recognize his peers, he not only showed up to school early that day, even though he was sick, he did an amazing job. And the third thing was that I had received so much backlash from teachers telling me why was he receiving so many privileges. What I find year after year is that leadership makes the biggest impact on student behavior. What is most surprising is that often teachers give leadership roles to students who don't need it. They miss an incredible opportunity for the students to learn social intelligence, flexible thinking, self-awareness, self-control, and my personal favorite, empathy. Some people might think that leaders are born. It's part of their DNA, and there is truth to that. You could be predisposed to have leadership qualities, but that doesn't mean they'll be used for good. 2/3 of leadership skills can be taught. So why do leadership rules work? What is the psychology behind leadership? And I want to share 4 ideas, and the 4th one is the most important. First, purpose creates energy. When we have purpose and a direction with a goal, it creates positive energy to get things done. When we have this energy, we can be more creative, more productive, and we'll be more engaged. You won't have to push students to get things done when purpose will pull them towards the value ending. Let me give you an example. If I invited you to attend my birthday party and mid-party I asked you to help me host, would your energy change? Would you feel that now that you have a purpose, you must reach your goal, and if everyone had a great time, would you feel more fulfillment? Purpose is important. Second, kids step up when they feel important. At my school site, only 10 to 15 students get to be in our leadership class. It's a big deal to get to work with me. I make them shirts, I make them name badges, I let them sell snacks after school. They take their job very seriously because I constantly talk to them about the importance of being a leader. We talk about how it's never about them, but always about student body and making the environment just fun to be at school. There have been students who have let me down and made poor decisions, but they always are able to bounce back. Plus, they're teenagers, and I would be delusional to believe that teens don't make bad decisions. Okay, third, fear of disappointing others is powerful if used correctly. When we need to have students step up, reminding them that others are counting on them can light a fire in them more than anything, especially when their peers are going to know it was from a student's effort that something positive happened. It's a powerful lesson in empathy when you remind your student leaders that others are counting on them and their choices will impact others. you can have powerful conversations about how their choices have consequences for everybody around them. Okay, number 4, and the most important, students do better when you give them positive power. What I mean by positive power is allowing your student to make decisions and take the lead. Your most free-willed students need to be given power throughout the day, because if you don't give them power within your parameters, they will ask for it in the most annoying ways. See, everyone, including students, including you and I, we want independence, autonomy, and control over our own world. The need for power is universal, and if a student starts feeling out of control, they'll start acting out with negative behaviors to get control. So how do you build the capacity in your challenging students to be leaders? Where do you start? Here are 5 strategies I use in no particular order. Number 1, I used moral stories. Those are stories where I have students put themselves in a character's shoes and discuss the right choice. This is a great way to help students explore empathy and moral reasoning. At least once a week with my ASB class, we would circle up, which meant we would either stand or sit in a circle to create a feeling of equality. While in the circle, we would read a short story together and have an open conversation. I made sure to ask them some really thought-provoking questions. Number 2, have one-on-one conversations. Like I said earlier, some of the students in leadership were a bit rough around the edges, to say the least, and I made it a point to talk to them in private about the choices they were making and reminding them who they would be letting down if they didn't follow through. Students want to please and they want to be successful. The one-on-one time helps to continue to foster the relationship and give them an opportunity to be real with me. Number 3, asking students about their choices and making them reflect. So for some reason, teachers were compelled to call me, email me, text me every time one of my student leaders made some poor decisions. Although sometimes I was annoyed, I did take the opportunity to talk to the student privately about high expectations their teachers had for them. And I made sure to pump them up and let them know that if high expectations were being placed on them from adults, it must mean that they saw some potential in them. Number 4, give feedback on the leadership. Whenever students are learning a new skill, it is important to provide them with constructive feedback, and learning leadership is no different. When given feedback, make sure to include the 3 following elements that I'm about to share with you. You want to make sure that you tell them what they're doing well, what areas to improve on, and then set goals and a roadmap on how to get to that goal. Number 5, make opportunities for growth. You might start a student with an easy leadership role in your classroom or on campus, and as a student starts to show improvement in their responsibility, create other opportunities for them to expand their leadership and be challenged in new ways. For example, maybe the student's leadership role started as a student who takes up the attendance to the office, and now they're going to be promoted to line leader. Here are some other examples of leadership roles at the elementary school level. Here are some examples at the middle school level. But what happens when you get backlash? I have worked with teachers that refuse to make their troublemaker a line leader. When you make the troublemaker the line leader, a few things happen. First, the student can't bother their peers. Second, the student will feel they have gained some power and won't request power in a negative behavior. Lastly, you can start building up the student to use their energy for something positive instead of negative. When you come across parents, teachers, or administrators that are naysayers to give challenging students leadership roles, you can respond with the following. See, there's a difference between equality and equity. Equality would be rotating the students to all have leadership roles. Equity is recognizing that each student has different circumstances and need different opportunities to reach an equal outcome as their peers. And for some students, leadership is that opportunity. Are you ready for a free one-on-one session with me to discuss creating leadership roles for your classroom or anything you need advice on? Head over to my website at cindyrosa.com for information. Remember to hit that like button if you learned something from this video. Try giving leadership roles to students who are labeled troublemakers. They will surprise you. Leave any questions you have in the comments section. I hope that you found this information helpful. Thank you for watching.